Hi, welcome back. It's been a year since I posted one of these things. I have some cool things to share with you about what we did this year and some more statistics. I have one chance a year to nerd out on statistics and talk about next year, what the plan is with the music program at UTANA. And first of all, it continues to blow me away that I'm able to have a job in which I can practice and teach the creative arts in high schools with all of the turbulence that we have lived through and continue to live through. And I'm just wanting to show gratitude for that, because it's been a rough go for all music educators and all musicians across the globe, and continues to be a rough go. I am extremely lucky, and it's only with the support of our administration at UTANA, support from my fellow staff members, support from our superintendent and trustees, and of course the support of the students. Couldn't be doing anything without you. So let's start with statistics. At the end of last year, I posted this video called Special Announcement, Meet the Dawn Again, but better. I'm going to review what I talked about in that, just for context, and then we'll talk about the this year's statistics. So that's the video from last year, in case you're interested in seeing the difference. This was what I gathered over the last school year. I measured projects endeavored. That was everything students put their hands to. I measured projects that got published to YouTube or other platforms. I kept track of the amount of those things that were original content. And by the way, this is an error on this title. It's not originals written and published, it's originals written. That's me copying and pasting this one by mistake. And then the percentage of that which was original content, so this versus this, this versus this, and then how many concerts we played. So that was last year, that was 2020, 2021. This year, and I'll kind of flip back and forth here so you can kind of see the difference for the in the graphic. Let's start with projects endeavored. Last year 116, this year 132, so it's an increase of 16. This is primarily due to I'm just more efficient in delivering this thing. You do it for a couple of years, you learn a little bit of things, but also we just had more students in the program this year. I'll make a footnote about that to circle around to that later. Going to projects published. Last year we had 68 published. This year we had 80 published. That's a little bit due to there's just more students, and also I'm more efficient at like editing stuff and getting it up online to a level of quality that the student is happy with. We had a drop in originals written, about 8 lower than usual, although I will make a note that, or not lower than usual, just lower, period. So the percentage is 13% of all the stuff we did was original. Just more covers this year. That's just how it shook down. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not counting the album that Beck made in her spare time after she graduated, although she's still technically registered with us. So that would add another 7 to this, to 25, and then that would be closer to this. So I don't know, same content, but it wasn't technically part of the class. It's a long story. But anyway, we saw less originals. I don't know. We played 3 shows this year too, as opposed to last year where we did 0. We did one coffee house in March, and then we did a show at the basement with just some feature vocalists in April, and then we had a year-end concert last Tuesday. We had about, I should have kept better track of attendance of those things, but rough estimate, about 100 people at both shows. There was about 120 at the basement, so we've reached an audience of about 320, not unique people, but 320 bodies anyway, which was a lot of fun. Let's take a look at these stats in text form in case you care. So the 2022 school year saw the same thing there, 116 projects, 68 published, 26 originals, and 22% original content, 0 concerts. This school year we also did projects endeavored of 132. 80 of them were published, 18 originals were written, about 14% of that, 13.5%, sorry, was original content, and 3 concerts played. So, like, you know, we had shows. That was fantastic. I also started keeping track of how much stuff was done virtually since the start of the pandemic, and this is the number. This sounds like an insane number, and it kind of is, thinking about it, but Zoom meetings, Facebook videos, staff meetings, phone conferences, extended Facebook or text chats that are like longer than 10 messages on a single topic, and not just, where are you? I'm over here. Come on upstairs, this sort of thing. That doesn't count as like a Zoom meeting, but like when somebody's asking for feedback on a mix or something, and I'm having an extended exchange with them, that's part of the learning. And part of how I've made myself available to be of service to you over the course of the pandemic. I wanted to point out again, well, sorry, just one more thing about that, like 1,120 like separate different virtual meetings over the course of, I guess, 2.3 years is, you know, like not counting summer, easily like between 3 and 4 a day, upwards of 7 at its most. That's top heavy at the start of the pandemic because it was all virtual, and I'm counting staff meetings and all that stuff in there too. That was directly related to having to do stuff not in person, or having the opportunity to do stuff in person as well, as depends on how you think about it. Either way, I just wanted to make a note of that there for my own archival purposes. That's like, you know, 1,100 different virtual meetings. Thank you, students and staff, for making yourself available for that too. Yeah, okay. So there's that. One more look at the graphic from this year as opposed to last year. Okay. There's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about this year that I'm very proud of you about. Just to make a note of, if I'm watching this, or you're watching this 25, 30 years down the line, just to note some highlights. The feeling that I had of just plain old joy when we played shows was something that I've been missing in my life for a long time. It's such a rewarding experience to be able to go and present the hard work that you've been doing to the community and get the feedback that you know that they're listening in real time. We know that people are listening to our music. We are well aware with view counts and stuff that people are listening, and I get some emails from people saying like, hey, good job, nice work, that sort of stuff, but it's not the same. Like, I know you're listening, but it's just not the same as having that in-person feedback. I wanted to pull up an example of this, which I think was easily the most joyous moment that I had all year. It was from the concert last year. I don't mean to be comparative. Again, I said this last year. Comparison is the death of joy. That was just poor language choice on my part. There was a point when we were doing happier than ever at the final show, where the audience like lost their mind a little bit, and you took that energy and moved with it. That feeling is so cool, and I'm so happy to be able to have that opportunity for you and for myself a little bit. To see that the work that we're doing is being valued, and people enjoy it. So I just wanted to play that one little clip of a moment there, where there was just a big scream from the audience and just smiles, and it was cool. Here's that. you know me, I don't wear my emotions on my sleeve very well, but like I was feeling all of the good brain chemicals in that particular moment there, and just to rewatch the video and see the smiles on your faces when you got feedback that what you're doing was making somebody else feel good is super valuable. So remind me to footnote back to that because I have exciting news about that too. I'm really blessed to have had the opportunity to kind of hone my skills as an audio engineer. I'm still a baby, super beginner, but I'm glad that so many people said, I want to record this, I want to do this, I want to have this on my profile, I want to, like, really driven folks say, like, I'm making this. Yep, that's right, I work for you, I will make it, or I will get other people in the class to make it and organize it so that you have what you want. And you've really pushed me with that. Like, it's a brand new skill for me, and I know I'm not very good at it yet, but y'all had a really high standard for what you wanted stuff to sound like, and the timeline upon which it should be finished. That's good workplace skill stuff, like setting a deadline, setting a boundary, and setting your expectations high, which is usually the opposite of how I live my life. Is like low expectations means usually you're happy because then you're surprised by how good it went. But y'all have like, no, I want it this way, and no, that's not good enough. Let's go back and do that sort of stuff. High expectations for me and for yourselves and for your product. So that's been cool. At the start of February, no, start of February, it was the end of February, semester 2-ish, we started tapering off Zoom meetings. You can go watch the video for that. I'll show you the link on it here in case you're interested in the why of how we tapered off Zoom meetings. Sorry, I didn't have that up right away. It's this one. It's called Dust. It's about just 2 hours long. Don't watch the whole thing, but if you're interested in the explanation of why we tapered off the Zoom meetings up until nothing. Hi, Nick. I'm trying a different screenshot there. Look how many people were in here. Yeah. Anyway, we started tapering those off. You can look at that video for why, to a point where we stopped them completely by the end of March. I think it was end of March, something like that. Because there was an interesting opportunity that fell in our school community's lap. That I had no planning for this. I wasn't prepared for it, but the opportunity presented itself, and it's easily one of the most life-changing things I've been involved in. I hope the same goes for you. It's one of the most emotional things I've had the opportunity to be involved in, and sort of just general human growth level stuff, as well as professional growth. And that was the arrival of about 24 students from Afghanistan, from Marifat High School, who brought with them talent, work ethic, a loving, positive attitude, a culture that is beautiful and unfamiliar to me, a language that is beautiful and slowly becoming more familiar to me, as many life stories as there are people that joined us, and to each of you from Afghanistan and from Marifat who shared your time and your talent and your energy with us, I am eternally grateful. This is not one of those I'm paying platitudes by saying words. It is completely mind-melting that we had this opportunity, and that you also took the opportunities that we have and really turned them into a life experience for you and us. So to all of you who are learning guitar there with me in the morning, even though we got interrupted by driver's ed, that's still more important. Many of you, bought or rented guitars, or updated your music listening preferences, or played with the band, or listened to the mixes that we were doing, did Vinyl Corner, or just had the opportunity to build a relationship with you. It's all been beautiful. And of course that led to some attention from our national news outlet, CBC, who produced a national segment that has been viewed by literally millions of people. and a radio documentary and a web story. Um, like it's the only reason, not the only reason, but a kind of linchpin reason why that happened at all was because about 6 years ago, some students were writing some songs and were doing the regular band stuff, and CBC caught wind of it somehow and did an hour-long documentary on the songwriting and the other cultural things that we've got going on in the school. And then that reporter, who I hadn't heard from since, that's not true. I heard from her on a personal project of mine, an album I released a while ago, but I didn't discuss Nutana with her at that point. Remembered that, Nutana's got this music program that was really interesting a couple of years ago, and I wonder if the students from Marifat are involved with music at that school, because that's where they're attending. And so she contacted the school and said, "You still got that music thing going?" I said, "Sure do." "And you got the students from Marifat in there?" "Yep, sure do." And then, so it was, the hard work of the students 6 years ago turned into the opportunity to tell this really complex, interesting, but heartbreaking at the same time as beautiful story to not only our students, our student body, and our community, but to the world. It was a national news outlet, not CKOM. This is big league stuff, and it got big league attention, and it was stressful, but also a really beautiful opportunity to grow as a person and as an educator. I've said it before, but this year I'm never going to forget each and every one of you from Afghanistan who came and absolutely crushed it this year in the face of all odds. I hope that when my kids grow up that they are as strong as you. I mean that, and I'm grateful forever for the opportunity to have worked for you. Okay. Last, next year's plans. Next year's plans. So, the reason we did this remote learning sort of hybrid thing again this year is because evidently the first year we did it, you really liked it. And it worked for you. The productivity went way up. The orientation changed, which allowed for that productivity to go up. But where you could have said, like, nah, I'm not going to do any of the extra stuff that I don't necessarily need to do. I'm not going to work myself to the bone just to, write a silly song or something like that. Either you needed the opportunity or you really wanted it and you took it and totally ran with it. And so we said, maybe if we just do that again, even though it seemed like at the end of last year, the pandemic was calming down and then it shot back up again. So we gambled and won on that one, that we were doing the remote thing again because it worked. So that's fine. That wasn't by design. It was completely by circumstance. Could not predict what the pandemic was going to do. So we're going to plan for the worst, hope for the best. We got the worst, and we made the best out of it. You made the best out of it. So with those statistics in mind, we organized the program like that. So next year, with the statistics the way that they are, I'm not saying the pandemic is over, but it's manageable at this point. I'm happy to say that no one over the course of the pandemic has contracted COVID as a result of being a performing musician in our school. I've worked pretty hard to make that a reality. Masks, sanitize everything, record in separate rooms. Guitar lessons are 6 feet apart from people where it's possible. Minimal touch surfaces, sanitize the guitars, the whole, as much as I can do to keep people safe. And you've also stepped up on the plate on that one too, the masks and the hand sanitizers and the whole bit. So I'm proud to say that. Now, although we're not really collecting statistics on COVID in Saskatchewan anymore, it's hard to tell. But because I have not known anybody who's caught it for a long time, I'm sure that that's an outlier, but you never know. And that no one's ever caught it from what we've been doing, particularly when we started doing more in-person, in the small room over here, masks off while singing, or in a large concert with masks off and singing in a large group of people and feeding them food and stuff like that. It feels safer. I don't know that it is. I'm not saying that it is safer, but it feels safer. So if I'm going to try to do programming for next year with the best possible results, I'm going to go with stats and what I have left of my gut So the plan for next year will be to return to music making as we did before the pandemic. Continue our partnership with the Recording Arts Institute of Saskatoon, that's RAIS, R-A-I-S, and also, as the year evolves, potentially doing English and band again at the same time. So basically it'll look like this. I got computer science in the morning all year. In the afternoon it'll be band in person as a class again. However, if you can't be with us all the time, because you've got another credit to do towards graduation, or you got a job or whatever, you can still be kind of used as like a designated hitter or a pinch runner, if you will excuse the baseball analogy, of which I have no knowledge of, so I don't even know if it's right, but I think designated hitter fits here. So like, for example, if you are an ultra shredding guitar player, you know who I'm talking about, who can do anything at the drop of a hat with minimal practice time, I could just send a text and say like, hey, we need a drummer on this track. Come on upstairs. There you go. Or I need someone to film on this one, or whatever. I need somebody to do sound while we do a thing. Then I can pull you in at whatever time is necessary to help us inflate the quality and experience for everybody. So don't necessarily have to be able to take the class. If you're attending your other one, I'll be able to pull you out, put you in the mix, and see what happens. So that applies to upgraders as well. If you've got another class you need to take that's significantly more important than, you know, singing a song for, if you got other stuff to do, we can just pull you out for one time if you're attending another class and it's going well. This means that we could also potentially have a full-on like 2.5 hour guitar class if that's what happens. So what I want to encourage people to do is to register for the class as soon as you can, so that I'm not scrambling to figure out the orientation of who needs to do what for what credit and so forth. The idea is to be a band again, and not just once a week, but every day, all afternoon, 2.5 hours, building relationships, writing songs, going to local recording studios, or using our own to share what we've done. I'm still looking around for a venue at night for which to do the concert. We could always do it here, but it always feels a little bit more exciting to go to an off-site venue. And then also you're learning to perform in new places, and that's part of the learning too. New spaces, new acoustic spaces and stuff. It's tricky to do that because almost all of them are like licensed establishments. We're not going to go play a show at the Capitol or anything like that. Might maybe the basement because it's an all-ages thing. I'm still working on it. I got to figure that one out. But maybe we'll just end up doing stuff here. We'll see. We'll see. I think that's about it. As the year evolves, depending upon who needs what credits and what's available, we're going to leave it kind of open in semester 2 to see if there's an opportunity to teach English 20, English 30A, and English 30B at the same time, kind of re-entry style. And have band at the same time. And that would be an all-day thing. So you're in English, potentially as many as 3, possibly, and band in the afternoon, beginners and intermediates and advanced, mixed as however we see fit. So there's that. Anyway, first quarter, computer science in the morning, band in the afternoon. Or maybe it's guitar, we'll see who signs up. Or maybe it's just plain old music. No performance. We'll see who signs up. Quarter 2, computer science in the morning, and then the same thing, band in the afternoon. And then we'll see how it goes in semester 2 to see if we can get this band English hybrid thing happening, or maybe we'll just continue with what we did in quarter 2, just like we did in the past. We'll see. We'll be adaptable, like all things at Newtownie. You figure out what's going on, see what's on the dinner table, and fill up your plate accordingly. I think that's about it. I want to also. I've said that's about it 2 times. It's never all the way done. I wanted to bubbly break. Pink today. Wanted to say something to all the lovely folks who have been sending me messages from a number of different organizations shall remain nameless because it doesn't matter. I don't like name dropping. The thing about name dropping is that Tom Hanks says you should never do it. Sorry. Um, a whole bunch of organizations who've been sending me notes and accolades, as well as fellow staff members and folks from downtown and my own friends and former students and stuff like that. Send me nice things to hear all the time, which is really cool. It gives me good energy, and I really appreciate that. It is usually along the lines of, you're doing a great job, and good job on the thing that you've built, and good job on being good at stuff. And I almost never respond to them because it feels a little disingenuous to respond and accept an accolade to something that is partially untrue. I wanted to address this. For all those folks out there who've been sending me nice stuff and I've just ignored it, one, I don't know how to accept compliments because I'm a like recovering Catholic with the guilt complex. Two, but what you're saying is only partially true. I'm definitely trying the best that I can and trying to make the best out of a weird situation. And I'm having a good time doing it, which is something I'm very grateful for. But also, you keep on saying, like, look at this thing you've built. I didn't build squat. I didn't build a thing. I didn't have a grand design for what this is supposed to look like. I didn't like do unit plans that were evolving into each other and stuff like that. I just said, who wants to learn music? And then people showed up and said, me. And then I said, what do you want to learn? And then you overwhelmingly gave me a whole bunch of stuff and your peers to do, which upon publishing your work in the wake of the pandemic, got some attention. Every compliment that you've given me, I politely decline and pass them directly onto the students. They are the ones that are doing the heavy lifting, the hard work, and the growth. I'm just like the ball boy at the tennis match. Why's the sports analogies this year? Last year was Warcraft analogies. Now it's sports. I don't even watch any sports. I watch English football from time to time. That's it. Baseball, tennis, I don't know. Anyway, I'm like the ball boy at the tennis game. It's like, yeah, the game wouldn't go as well without it, but it's really the players and the coaches, the training staff and stuff like that. I'm just, I'm starting the lawnmower. Y'all are doing the lawn mowing yourself and deserve all the credit. So for all those who send me nice things and I ignored you, I apologize. This makes me super uncomfortable because, one, who I am, and two, because it's just not directed at the right people. It's directed at students. Whom, and I mentioned this at Lydia's graduation, like sometimes it's a reason to go to work in the morning, or at 4 in the morning for that matter, for those who know. It's been a huge blessing the last 2 years, which is, I'm very privileged to be able to have that because life has been just bad for a lot of people. I'm very privileged to have come out of the pandemic. Are we out yet? I don't know. At least this far, unscathed, and having opportunities to work for amazing young people who are getting smarter and braver and stronger every day. Thank you for that opportunity. Next year, we meet the dawn again, except we're kind of going back in time because we're going to try to do the same thing we did before, community play shows, be a band again, every day. Thank you. In Icelandic, tak fyrir. In Persian, tashakur. In French, merci. I don't know. I'm trying to learn languages this year. Thank you very much for listening. Love you all. And that.